So let's get on to our next topic here. And what I want to get into, because this does impact both the Lakers and the Celtics, is the Lakers win total next season. They are projected by Vegas to have an over-under of 33.5 wins. And obviously the Celtics get the Lakers pick if it falls anywhere 2 through 5. Anywhere else, it goes to the Philadelphia 76ers. So how many wins the Lakers end up with is going to directly impact the Boston Celtics. We know, of course, the Celtics do want the Lakers pick this year. So what do you think about that projection, 33.5? Because I would say if they end up with, say, 34 wins, that's going to put them, well, based on last season's standings, that would put them about 10th worst record in the league, which would make it pretty tough for the Celtics to get that pick. So what do you think about that projection? Is that too high, too low? If you were to bet on it, would you take the over or the under? Where are you at?
I wouldn't take the over, but I think the under is pretty tight there. I mean, so last year they had 26 wins, and replacing D'Angelo Russell with Brook Lopez, I think for this team might actually be an upgrade, even though I think it kind of works out well for both sides. I think both sides get better adding those players. You know, the Lakers improving by like 10 wins, I don't think is likely. Improving by 5 wins seems a lot more likely. If they have Brandon Ingram going into his next year, and he played very briefly at Summer League, but he looked a lot better at at Summer League than he did in the regular season. He's gotten bigger, his footwork's getting better, his potential's pretty phenomenal. I love that. And it really comes down to how composed is Lonzo Ball going to be at NBA speed when he's not, his physical dominance at his position isn't as drastic as it has been in college and in the summer league. The fact that his shooting is woefully inconsistent right now, is he going to have that under control? Is his incredible vision going to be as effective going against longer, quicker, smarter defenders? So if he's able to be an effective point guard right away, I can see them going up by a significant number of wins. But if he's not, they don't have anybody there that makes me think they're going to really, they're going to drastically turn things around. And I would be surprised if Lonzo is as dominant. If he's like a 15-9 kind of guy early on, I wouldn't expect him to be quite that good. But he'll still be one of the best rookies either way.
Yeah, I tend to be optimistic with basketball in general. I tend to look forward, what the best possible case scenario for a team is going to be, and of course that doesn't always come true, especially with the Lakers. But I still feel like this is kind of high. I mean, they won 26 games last season. Yes, D'Angelo Russell is on his way out. Brook Lopez came in. Of course, Brook Lopez was definitely a better player than D'Angelo Russell last season. Will that be the case next season? Tough to say. In the Brooklyn offense, D'Angelo Russell could blow up, but Brook Lopez certainly will help with the spacing, and of course Lonzo Ball will get the ball moving around the perimeter. I just think in the Western Conference, it's going to be kind of tough for them to hit, say, the 34-35 win range. If I had to bet, I'd probably be taking the under. I'd probably be guessing somewhere around 30 wins or so. And that's not that I don't like the pieces that they have, because I do, and I think it's a team that fits together better than they have in years past. In fact, I would say this is the best Lakers starting five that we've seen in probably 4 years, maybe 5, right? I mean,
it's really impressive, and it has great long-term viability too.
Absolutely. I mean, you've added Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who they need. I mean, they need a defender on that level. But then you're also relying so much on young guys. You're relying on Julius Randle. You're relying on Brandon Ingram, on Lonzo Ball, like you said. And then even off the bench, you're looking at either Ivica Zubac or Thomas Bryant as your big coming off the bench. Larry Nance Jr. has a little bit of experience, so he's in there. And, of course, Corey Brewer and Luol Deng. But then, you're looking at the backup guards. You've got Tyler Ennis and Josh Hart. So there's a lot of young players on this team. And in general, young players tend to not win in the NBA. So I feel like the numbers are a little bit high, but at the same time, I'm still pretty excited about what they've got. I'm excited to see kind of how it all comes together. I'm just not expecting them to win a ton of games. I'm not going to measure success by that, did they win 40 games this season, or did they win 38 or whatever. I think the team has to use a different measure of success, and that's just seeing the young guys grow bit by bit as the season goes on. So 2 through 5 protected for that pick. Obviously, if the draft lottery reform comes through, that could change the equation here. But what's your thinking here? Is this something where the Celtics should be kind of expecting to get this pick, or will they be more like kind of looking towards 2019 when they have the Sacramento Kings pick?
It's like right on that edge.
Right.
I think a lot of people that have tried to do these early rankings have the Lakers somewhere between like the 4th to 8th worst team in the league. So there's a ton of variability there. Not to mention, of course, the lottery is a lottery, so teams can leapfrog there. If LA sits there at the 5th and they don't win, and someone else wins, it's bumping out. So it's the probability, I would say, is less than 50%. I would just guess off the top of my head that this actually conveys. I think the Lakers' potential to be good this year with that starting lineup that they have is better than like the few worst teams out there. Atlanta is probably going to fall off a cliff. Indiana, Chicago, those are all teams that won 40-plus games last year.
Right.
That could all drop like 20 games or so. That you can see them at the bottom there. And then Brooklyn is probably going to be a little bit above that pack, but they'll be around there. And then Phoenix, I'm not sure what Phoenix did to make them jump, another 10 games or so in the standings, like what the Lakers would. And Orlando might stay stagnant where they are, and that means the Lakers could be behind them in the lottery rankings as well. Sacramento, I expect to get a little bit better, and I don't see any other team really falling at that point. Maybe, who knows with New York? New York is a complete crapshoot. You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about 6 or 7 teams that could be worse than the Lakers this year. And I think the Lakers, there's less clarity on how good they'll be compared to everyone in the league, because they have like these first and second year guys that are like the most important players on that team, and I just have no idea what to expect from them. Because like Ingram, you just look at the starting lineup, I think it's a perfect complementary starting lineup. Lonzo versus Caldwell Pope, I think they really play off each other's strengths very well. And then Ingram could be a great all-around scorer, even by next year probably. He can run some pick and roll. I hope we get to see a lot more of that this year. Julius Randle is can be a really good versatile defender. I'm still very optimistic about his potential. I don't know if he'll ever be an elite player, but he could be a very good starting role player, a poor man's Draymond, or maybe even just like a upper middle class man's Draymond or something like that. And then that complements Brook Lopez very nicely as well. So if Julius really develops his mid range to even 3-point perimeter scoring or just shooting ability, that offense is extremely complementary and kind of really they play off each other's strengths very well. And that's a team that I could see making a big leap this year. But it's just I have no inclination which way to expect any of those guys to develop.
Yeah, the spacing that Brook Lopez provides will be crucial, especially for Julius Randle. I don't know if you've seen the workout images of him, but he is absolutely shredded. The guy just looks like a monster. His body fat percentage is super low, and he looks like he is in the best shape of his life. Of course, that's kind of standard for NBA offseason, right? Everybody puts on 15 pounds of muscle and is in the best shape ever and all that kind of stuff. But it is a noticeable difference with Randle, how much he has slimmed up while still maintaining strength. Brandon Ingram's getting stronger. So yeah, you're right. It kind of depends on what these young guys do. And that's really hard to project because they are so young. You just don't know how quickly they're going to be able to make that leap. I also think that a factor here is that they have so many guys who are playing for their next contract. With Julius Randle, Brook Lopez, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, those are 3 guys who are all looking for a new deal next summer. And so I think that, maybe when you get to those games in January and February, when we kind of hit the dog days of the season, and some teams maybe aren't putting forth their best effort, those guys have that little extra bit of motivation to continue pushing. So maybe they pick up some wins there that way, but it's going to be fun to watch them this season. That I can say, because Lonzo's going to be flinging the basketball all over the place, and we should see a lot more of an open system and more spacing. I don't know that's going to translate to more wins. Again, I don't want to be a Lakers pessimist here, but I still think 33.5 is kind of high. I'd be betting the under on that, but I'm going to project about 30. That'd be my guess, and I'd be pretty happy with that. Where would you put them at if you had to put a number on it?
Yeah, I think 32 has been the number I've been looking at so far, which, let's see, based on last year's standings, we'll put them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're around the 7th team or so. And it probably would carry out on average over the years around that too. So that would be very interesting for them keeping their pick this year, because they sure as hell want to keep that pick. That's for sure.
Well, they don't get to keep the pick this year. This year, if it
Oh,
doesn't
that's
go to
right.
Boston, it goes to Philly.
That's right. Okay.
So one or the other.
That's right. Yeah. So they definitely don't want to convey to actually I don't know. I'm wondering who would they rather convey to because
It's tough.
I would have thought they don't want to convey to Philly because they're going to be competing against Philly in the future, but Boston has repositioned themselves that they would be competing against Boston in the future as well. Boston's looking to be the team that arises after Golden State in 2 years or so. So they this is kind of a lose-lose situation for the Lakers.
Absolutely. And, I still think, best case scenario is maybe they end up turning over the 10th pick or the 11th pick or something like that.
Sure.
If they can
Which
really
means
make a run, which
Yeah.
then it's a little bit less painful, which I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, the Lakers already kind of lucked out when they managed to keep the pick 3 years in a row, and so then that means that they didn't have to send a first rounder to Orlando anymore, and so that took away some of the pain of the Dwight Howard trade. But we'll see. I can't say that the Lakers Celtics rivalry is still a real thing. Like people still talk about that, and even though the Celtics are right now at or near the top of the Eastern Conference, and the Lakers are not in that situation in the West, I still think there would be quite a lot of wincing or cringing amongst Lakers fans if they have to hand over, say, like the second pick to the Celtics. It would be a little bit tough to swallow. So I think the hope has to be that they play well enough to maybe give the 10th or 11th pick or something to the 76ers. I guess that would be preferable. Of course, not preferable for Boston, but still, that's the way Lakers fans would probably look at that. And I will say this, we talked earlier about the draft lottery reform and tanking and everything. It is going to be fun this season to just legit cheer for wins and hope for wins and hope to see the team do well and not have that divide in the fan base where you have some fans hoping that they lose and some fans hoping that they win. So that'll be nice from a Lakers standpoint anyway.